Hi, this is Keiko from Brooklyn Shoe Space. Today I'm inviting Eric Weiss from Adidas, the farm. He used to be our intern long time ago, and now he's off doing amazing things. He has been quarantining, I hear, and he has a home studio, and he's working out of there. He's in Brooklyn, and I haven't been back to Brooklyn, so I'll ask him about how he's doing over there. And talk shoes. Hold on a minute. I am going to post a comment and pin that comment. And then Rickwise joined. So I am adding him on right now. Ooh, where are you? Hold on. Let me see if I can, yes. All right, thanks for being patient with me. Hi.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great to see you. It has been a very long time.
Yeah. I know. How are you?
Good.
Where are you?
I'm upstate.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel a little remote from Brooklyn. What's happening out down there? So how are you?
Yeah.
What have you been doing during quarantine
Um,
before the Black Lives Matter protest and everything?
Before the protest
Kelsey?
started, I had started doing some PPE stuff out of my space. I was working with Lorna from.
Yeah, you were collaborating with her.
I made that bag. Yeah.
Yeah.
And had sent out some kits for people to make their own masks, which went pretty well. I did some face shields. A few, I think about 10 of those ended up going to a dentist's office for some of their procedures. They had to go back in the office.
Yeah.
About a month ago.
Where did you do those masks out of? Ooh.
I had borrowed the laser cutter.
I'm losing you. Hold on.
Oh,
yeah, you're back. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had borrowed the laser cutter and then done some stitching with just a few elastic pieces. These were the very simple shields. And then also doing some some Adidas stuff, seeing how Maker Lab can support the team in a digital sense, and some light prototyping in my home space.
Have you been quarantining for the whole time? Like the 13th, was that the Monday? No, that was Friday. So the 16th of March?
Yep. Yeah, I've been.
Are you back at work now, or?
No, I'm still working from home. Yeah, I've been pretty much in my apartment every day for since March. Yeah.
Wow. And did the work, was it easy to just do it from home right away, or did you have a little bit of transitioning time with everybody going home?
Yeah, it was a bit challenging. My job is very much hands-on. I'm very much a teacher and kind of showing people one-on-one how to make shoes day to day. So figuring out how to make that work over the computer was a little bit challenging. But we were able to get some nice results. We've done a few workshops via webcam, working with other team members, and done some prototyping that was shared over webcam. And it was also a little bit of a challenge to go from all the access I have to machinery in our space to I have just my one post bed back here. So had to modify my process a bit in order to to be able to do some prototyping here. Yeah,
but you've been able to make some things?
I have. I unfortunately can't show those to you.
No, it's okay. But it's for work. Is it for work, or is it anything personal for yourself?
For work, I've done some mock-ups and prototyping, and then I've also been working on a few things for myself.
Cool.
Yeah, I have a, this is kind of in the process sneaker that I'm working on, and did a bunch of patterns for that. That was kind of the first version with some scrap materials. So I'm trying to develop a way to do a Strobel style construction without a Strobel machine.
Using like a high post.
Yeah, using the post. So I've been practicing kind of using the post to stitch the boards on.
Yep.
Which is been a little bit difficult, and also using the post to gather the toe. So getting this rounded toe shape is very difficult without a gathering machine, without a Strobel.
Right.
And I've been able to do it with certain lighter materials, some meshes. But you do it a very similar way that you would do a sleeve for apparel. So you turn your stitch length all the way up. So like, I think mine goes up to 7. And then it helps to have it a little bit too tight. And it'll gather it a little bit, and then you can leave some long ends of the thread and pull the opposite and kind of gather it by hand. But doing that with leather is a little tough.
Easy. Yeah.
I was able to do it if you're smart about skiving and construction. But it definitely hurts your hands.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're hand skiving.
No, the pulling the thread.
Oh, pulling the thread. Okay,
yeah.
okay. Oh, very
Yeah, that
cool.
bonded nylon is strong. It definitely cuts into your fingers.
Yes, it does. You need one of those like finger guards with leather. Yeah.
I should make
Other
one.
than that, like other than the work stuff, recently it's been the epicenter, or like it's been really active in Brooklyn, you know, with the protests. And have you been going out a little bit?
Yep. Yes. Been going to some protests. I think probably in the last 2 weeks, between marches, protests, and vigils, I've been to 10 different events. Been marching and helping out in different ways. I had gone on a bike protest last week, which was interesting. I'd never done that before.
It was interesting to see. Actually, I only saw on Instagram, but the streets were closed, so you could really go on the roads. Like,
it was we biked straight over the main lanes on the Williamsburg Bridge. It was really powerful. It was thousands of people on bikes. So it really was a great experience. I would definitely recommend it if you like biking.
Right. Did you have to wear? I mean, did you wear a mask while you were biking, or?
Yes. Yeah. Pretty much everyone's got masks on.
Right.
And then I actually worked. Sorry, go ahead.
I was wondering if you encountered any conflicts or any anti-protests.
The first protest that I went to, we met down in the southeast end of Prospect Park and then marched down into Flatbush. And in Flatbush, the police started to get really aggressive, started throwing tear gas, started arresting people, kind of at random.
Wow.
They were definitely instigating. They definitely were not there to protect. They were instigating. There's been this term thrown around a bit called kettling, which they had kind of done to us. They used a helicopter to sort of corral people in the direction that they wanted. The area where we were marching was next to a parking lot that left some open space, and the helicopter, I've never seen a helicopter in New York get so close to the street before.
Really? Wow.
Yeah, the landing gear was probably below the third floor of the buildings in this Brooklyn neighborhood. It was really close to the ground.
Wow.
And
those things are huge too.
And then the air from the blades was kind of disorienting everyone and kind of forcing people out of the way. And then once they got us into this other part of the street, this was on Bedford Avenue in Flatbush. They kind of blocked off both ends with cars, and they just started kind of attacking people.
Oh my gosh! What happened? What were you okay? What did you do?
Yeah, I was
On
I was
foot?
trying to get, I was on foot. I was trying to get some photography and video of what was happening, and I got some, but it was very difficult. The camera I was using was a small DSLR. It was not great for video, but I was trying to get some video. But it was very chaotic. There's a lot of people kind of running back and forth.
Yeah.
But yeah, the police would sort of, they had this strategy where they would kind of stand in a line or a circle, and then one officer would run out into the crowd and hit somebody, kind of like body check them with his forearm. And I think their strategy was, you know, because that person contacted the police officer, that was kind of some sort of probable cause for assaulting the officer. And then as soon as that guy would hit someone, another two officers would grab the person he hit, and then they would take them to the ground and put them in those zip tie handcuffs.
Oh my goodness! And
I watched them do it
left and right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was at random. I watched them do it about 5 times, and then one of the fifth one that I saw, there was the person was not really. They were having a hard time getting him on the ground, which I didn't think they really needed to get him on the ground. Like, they had his hands behind his back, but they were trying to put him on the floor, and he wasn't going down, and so they tackled him. And I was trying to video this. I have some clips of it, but I kind of kept them on my hard drive.
And did you send
just
it to?
Not. I submitted the information to the I think it's called the NLG. And if there's any cases that pop up, you send them a description of the footage with the time and location. And if some case pops up, they request the footage from you. But yeah, for now, some of them, I posted a few things, but the more violent stuff, I kept to myself, just to protect the protester identities.
Right. Was that the first time you went? So
that was the first protest I went to for this, kind of this round of protesting.
I mean, it's good you keep on going, and you know, it didn't deter you. Is that the right word?
After that, I mean, after that one, the next one that I went to, I felt a lot of resistance. I felt like there was a little bit of like I got up and I was planning to go, and I kind of felt like a pit in my stomach. It's like, ugh, I don't want to see that again. I don't want to get tear gassed. A lot of people got tear gassed at that first one. I had brought some salt water, so I had cleaned some tear gas out of a few people's eyes. But I ran out of water, and then my camera battery started to go, and I looked up in the distance and I saw about 5 or 6 more of those police vans pull up, and every van, the doors open, and 6 or 7 officers in riot gear got out of every van just pulled their batons out. And I thought, all right, I got to get out of here.
Oh my God. That's scary.
Yeah, it was very scary.
Thank you for going. Like, I don't think I went to a protest up here, but it was very peaceful. It was very airy space, and it was maybe like 200-300 people, not very small.
Pretty much all the other ones I've gone to have been very peaceful. But they've also been in places where the police were probably not going to be able to kind of attack. You know, if you're walking up 3rd Avenue in Manhattan between, 32nd and 33rd Street, they're probably not going to start beating people there in the middle of the day.
Right. Same with
there
like
are
Williamsburg,
open,
for example.
Williamsburg.
Yeah.
It seemed to me that the kind of the more black and diverse neighborhoods are the neighborhoods where the cops start to get violent in the protests.
That's scary. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah. But thanks for going. I think it is like persistence, and you know, it's not a sprint. So like we just have to keep on doing. Yeah. So well, thank you for what you do.
Oh yeah, it's
the
least I can do.
Right. Yeah, it's just that feeling in your pit. You know, it's like, oh. So when do you think you can reopen for work?
As far as I know, they are waiting for a final call to hear from what New York State and city says. I believe I read something last week that said they were aiming for June 22nd if everything goes perfect, but not to keep your hopes up on that. It would probably be mid-July.
Wow. Oh,
so I think mid-July we'll start rotating people back into space. We will have 3 Maker Lab members, so we'll do 1 or 2 of us a couple times a week. You know, someone will take Monday, Tuesday, and or Monday, Wednesday, and someone will take Tuesday, Thursday.
Right.
And
you do have space in there.
We have a decent amount of space, and our offices, I think we've got about 40 or so full-time employees that go in there. So I think it'll be pretty easy to maintain social that distance. And but it'll also be another thing to try and coordinate schedules.
Yeah,
so
adjustment.
If someone's going in and they need apparel help and I'm there and our apparel tech is not, then so I think there'll be definitely some learnings from that. Right.
Yeah, so for those of you who are watching who don't know you, tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you do. When did you start making shoes? How did you start? Travel back to the beginnings if you like.
Okay.
And obviously we're talking about sneakers, so so did you specifically get into shoemaking, wanting to make sneakers, that kind of talk?
Okay.
If you can.
So I started out as a mechanical engineering major, which I really didn't like. I did that for about 3 semesters. So I was in West Lafayette, Indiana at Purdue for about 1.5 years. I dropped out, moved in with my dad who was living in Arizona, ended up attending the Art Institute of Phoenix there for graphic design, and was doing a lot of screen printing and graphics while I was there. I taught myself to screen print when I was in Arizona, and that was kind of my first experience learning how to work in a shop and working with some machinery and heat presses and things like that. That was probably back in 2009. And after I graduated, I moved to New York. I didn't really have, I hadn't really realized that I liked making yet. I was really focused on graphics and illustration. And so I came to New York, had a few freelance gigs here for a little while, and then worked at a digital media agency called Team Epiphany, which was a great experience. It was a lot of fun. I learned a ton there, and then got to a point where I realized I felt like I was kind of missing something professional-wise, and I didn't think graphics was like the end-all be-all for me. And so I started exploring a little bit. I quit that job and started kind of experimenting, trying to see what was out there, what was available, and I ended up taking a fashion sewing class, and then footwear was always something that was in the back of my mind. I mean, my first internship was at Tom's Shoes doing graphics, and then when I was at that agency, our main client.
That? During the agency or before?
Sorry, before? I skipped. Right after I graduated in 2011, for 3 months I was an intern at Tom's. So I was really surrounded by the whole footwear process. That's actually where I met Sean Scott, who runs Community Made now. He was the head footwear designer there. So I met a lot of cool people, and it kind of was around shoes there, but still hadn't clicked for me yet. Then when I went to New York and was working at that agency, our main client was Nike. and it was a lot of sneaker focused social media posts. And the social media was mainly what I worked on there. They also did events and a few other things, but I was doing graphics for social. And, you know, I was, you know, it was always kind of there in the background. You know, I would be doing lighting and putting logos on a photo of sneakers.
Right.
And then after I left there, I took that fashion sewing class, and then I had always wanted to learn how to make shoes, and I went online. I tried to teach myself to make shoes back in 2009 when I was in Arizona, and couldn't find any good resources. YouTube really wasn't then what it is now. Yeah. And I had actually bought some fabrics and things at Joann's Fabrics, and I flattened out a dunk, like a Nike dunk, and traced it in Illustrator, and I had no idea what I was doing. I was just sort of experimenting, and then school got busy, and it kind of got put in a box in the closet. And so when I sort of finally came out of my graphics exploration, I was like, I still really wanted to learn how to make shoes. So I went online, and I was thinking, I'm in Brooklyn now. Like, somebody here has got to be doing this. And so I found Brooklyn Shoe Space, I think, on just a Google search. Through CourseHorse. That's right.
Oh, okay.
That's where it ended up. And I signed up just for the basic pattern making, and I came in and took that class with you. And after that, I was like, I love shoes. I want to do shoes.
That's great.
Yeah, and then I decided
you do get hooked.
Yes, yeah. I was hooked very early on, and I decided. I was thinking, okay, if I love making things, and I love shoes. What do you study? And I said, oh, okay, the making things major is industrial design. So then I started applying for ID programs while I was working at the Shoe Space, and eventually got in and attended Pratt Institute for a master's in ID. And that was a very interesting experience. It was not what I thought it was going to be. And I learned a lot while I was there. And I was there for about a year and a summer semester. I had spent the summer after my first year in Copenhagen doing an exchange program for furniture making. And I loved the furniture making program in Copenhagen, and didn't love my Pratt program so much. And so coming back from that, I was thinking, oh man, how am I going to go back to this? Right. And that was around the time when just coincidentally, you reached out to me and said that someone from Adidas had come to Brooklyn Shoe Space, and they were looking for someone, and do you want me to connect you? And I laughed and I said, sure, because I've applied to big brands many times before and never heard anything from them. But lucky enough, I got a response pretty quickly, and then went through a couple rounds of interviews, and eventually got hired. And so I got hired.
You did skip a part where I think you were working with like 3D printers.
Oh, I did. Yes, Curtis. The summer job. So yeah, there's a lot that happened. I was at Brooklyn Shoe Space until the summer before Pratt started, and I worked at a place called Shoot Digital, which is a photography studio, and they had a 3D printing setup in the back, and they had this team of really talented CGI digital artists, and Curtis realized that all he needed was some printers, because they had all of the know-how on the modeling side, and they could start to form a second income stream that way.
Yeah.
So he had these machines. They had somebody as a technician that was operating them that left, and he needed somebody to come in and just run the machines. And so I thought, that's great. I'll do that. It'll be a nice experience before I start my ID program. And so, yeah, I worked there for about 3 or 4 months. Worked on a lot of really interesting projects. Had a lot of fun with Curtis and that team. And then, yeah, started school. Then was a little bit disappointed in the program. Then went to Copenhagen and came back. And luckily got, I think the stars kind of aligned on that job.
Yeah, that's so great. So right now your role is to oversee the Maker Lab?
Yes. So I was hired on as a prototyping engineer in what's called Adidas Maker Lab in Brooklyn, which is the Maker Lab contained inside Brooklyn Creator Farm in Greenpoint here in Brooklyn. And essentially when I started, my task was to make mock-ups and prototypes with designers. And
for like seasons to come, like not recent, but for
we worked initially on creative direction. So creative direction was essentially all internal facing only. So nothing that we did the first year or two, nothing that we did the first year or two ever went out to the public. It was all stuff designed to inspire the brand internally and set the tone for the coming seasons. And so I was doing that, and then eventually was promoted to a senior manager. So I now manage the lab there, and my time is split between team building and making, and teaching making.
That's cool. That's cool. What's your favorite part about the process of shoemaking? What's your favorite part?
Probably like the back and forth between the pattern and the uppers, and kind of I like to make, I'll make like 5 or 6 versions of a pattern, and especially when you're working with leather, it's a little bit more. You can sort of rely a little bit more on like traditional measurements, but when you're working with knits and meshes and you're mixing those things, the way that the uppers stretch over the last and the way that they kind of retract back in when you remove the last after the shoe's glued are very different, very difficult to
they could warp a little bit.
Yeah, get a feel for. And so I like to make lots of different versions of the patterns and glue them and see how they sort of how the changes in the pattern affect the look.
Okay.
I really like that back and forth. That's probably my favorite part.
Cool. And is that the part that you do sort of solo? You're like at a desk with like all the materials, pattern cutting, and you're just doing it yourself? Or is that something you...
It varies. It depends on the project, but during the best cases, the most fun times, I'll be in the middle of a pattern, and the way our office is organized, it's very open floor plan. There's no office. There's no closed out desks or cubicles or anything. Yeah. So I can turn to one of the designers who I'm working on the project with and say, hey, do you want this to be tight in the toe, or should we shrink this a bit so that it pulls the tooling into like a curve? And so it's really nice to have that real-time live feedback where I can turn to someone and ask them, and they come back to me and say, oh no, like I really want it to look like this, and then I change the pattern to fit sort of that idea. Cool. That's a really awesome experience. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. What's the favorite tool in your trade, other than like brains and hands and like as a, like a tool or even
Favorite
equipment?
tool.
Yeah.
I mean, I really love the post bed.
Mm-hmm.
The laser cutter is amazing. Any kind of laser. We don't have a like a swing arm material cutter, but I'm sure I would love that too, because the laser burns the edges. So if you're cutting natural material like leather or a cotton or something, it leaves soot and kind of leaves a little bit of a ugly edge, and even some of the lighter meshes and things that'll yellow the edges. But the laser makes, I love that machine because it makes my process so incredibly quick.
Yeah.
When I'm making a shoe at home, to finish a prototype, but it'd take me, 4 days maybe. I can do 5 in a day because there's no hand cutting. It's just you just send the Illustrator file and it cuts them as quickly as you want.
Right.
And I can't keep up with how fast it cuts. It's.
Do you work like regularly 5 pairs at a time, kind of like 5 iterations? Like you were saying, you do like a couple of different patterning.
It depends. Usually, if I'm doing 5 of something, it's to test a new base shell, and or to test a material. And so once you get a feel for some of the stretchy materials, you're able to have like a little bit of a play with the elasticity of the midsole and the elasticity of the upper, and so you can make things kind of flex upward or flex downward, which is fun. And also, depending on where you put kind of toe boxes and reinforcements, that stuff is revealed when the shoe's glued and the last is removed. Right. So that part's also exciting to see, like, okay, what does this pattern look like with and without the toe box? Yeah, that's pretty interesting. And actually, a tool that I have to call out, that I love so much because it's sitting right here, is this. Ooh. It's a handled shoehorn. Yeah. It's so difficult to find in the U.S., but all over factories. Danny from Continental Dye, I think, made these. I'm pretty sure Michael Nash, when he was in our Maker Lab, had Danny weld some of these together. That is great. They're super handy for doing sneakers and for lasting. Oh, for lasting. Oh, because you're doing strobo stitch, and then you pop. Is that to pop it in or pop it out? It's to get the heel on over the last, to put the last in. Yeah, just like you're slipping on a shoe over a foot. You slip it over your last. Oh, okay. Oh, very cool. That is cool. Yeah. I think we got to use it at a event. Yes, at Hype Fest. Yes. That was fun. And yeah, that tool was really cool. Those are great. Whenever I am working in a shop and I realize I don't have one of those, I always think, damn, this is going to be difficult. Right. I got to go get a screwdriver or something and try to put it in. Yeah. Where and who do you get inspiration from? I like looking at things that are not shoes and that are sometimes not even objects, just like watching someone dance, and that feeling, and then sort of translating that, or thinking of just like, I mean, an obvious go-to is when you're looking at sport and kind of, like someone's speed or how they move, and that can sort of inform the design language, things like that. I do also look at shoes sometimes. There's like, if there's an element on a shoe that I really like. There's a shoe I have here I can show you an example of, called the Ren. It's a Y3 shoe. Okay. And this shoe has just a lot of really interesting details.
Okay.
They did some really cool stuff. Like they didn't even stitch the lining down into the strobel.
It's hard to see. Can you show
sorry.
us? Oh.
Let me see how I can hold this. So this lining in here is not even stitched down. It's just like a curtain.
Oh.
And this front sort of shroud kind of wraps all the way underneath the shoe.
Wow.
Oops, sorry.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's these stitched elements that wrap all the way around the foot.
Yeah.
And there's just so many. They have this kind of like embroidered shroud which goes up the toe, and it's attached to the upper until you get to this point, and then it kind of sticks out, and it's where the lacing runs through.
Wow.
Let me give like a further view.
Yeah, yeah.
And they did a lot of really interesting things on it. And it's really inspiring for me to look at something like this and not necessarily, copy exactly the construction or anything, but just take an element like how this is stitched down, and then it sort of floats free, and then I'll utilize that element in another shoe.
So because it is a collaboration, like, do you kind of have input in some of the designs, or are the creative directors kind of dictating the designs, or how do you guys collaborate? If you have this like particular, say construction, or like say design detail that you found that's really cool, do you kind of experiment it and also show it to some colleagues? And
yeah, I mean, it happens a million different ways. One thing that's great about our space is you have sort of like the intern level employees and the VP design employees kind of sitting right next to each other, and it's this really nice vibe of not, that you don't have to like make a meeting with somebody to discuss something. Everybody's input is considered. And I am able, if I want to pitch design ideas, and so is everyone else. And it's a really great space for collaboration in that way. And so, and I think the designers are honestly like some of the best in the world, and they're really amazing at sort of just removing ego, and they're able to, even I'll see a footwear designer take a prototype that I've been working on with them over to the apparel section and ask an apparel intern, what do you think about this? How would you do this? What do you not like? What's interesting, what's not? So yeah, the space is able to come out with some really amazing concepts by sort of opening it up to everyone.
That's cool. Yeah. Oh, that is really cool. That must be really fun.
Yeah, it is super fun.
What's your favorite shoe you've made in your shoemaking life? Has anything that you've helped from concept kind of come out to the market?
I mean, we started working on what our current responsibility is right now, which is called Advanced Concepts. And Advanced Concepts works 3 to 5 years from market, and we have not been doing it for 3 years yet. So we haven't really fully seen stuff go to market yet. But there have been some special projects that have been pushed forward. And a few of those things started in Maker Lab, and those were things, my role is a lot more like bouncing around between a lot of things. So I have my hands on a lot of stuff, but not one thing in particular very often.
Right.
But for example...
But you also have helped really work on, like, say, the events where it was a really hands-on kind of like workshop, that kind of thing as well. And the class, not classes, but you were saying you teach a lot internally. Yeah.
Yeah, we try and give all the designers a basis in footwear construction and making and apparel construction and making,
Cool.
so that it informs their design process.
Design. Yeah.
And so they're able to sketch through making rather than just on paper.
Right.
You really come up with much more interesting and oftentimes more functional results when you're kind of taking a already made shoe and cutting pieces off of it, and you know, and using a base shell and kind of strobing that up and then sticking other things onto it. So the process becomes really fluid in that way. And you get these really interesting ideas. I've learned a lot in that process from, like, for example, Helen Kirkham. We've worked with her a bit before. She's really good at kind of cutting things, deconstructing, and putting things where they're not supposed to go.
Right.
Which is
fresh,
just a great way to to get these new elements. I think another thing that happens a lot is you'll stitch something up and you'll maybe not like the way it looks so much, and then just turn it inside out, and you see all of the sort of the stitching line, and sometimes that's more interesting than what the design was on the other side. And some of that stuff has definitely come through. There's a lot of shoes on the market that have Maker Lab influence, especially, you know, in the basketball side, because basketball was temporarily being run out of the farm a couple years ago. So a lot of those shoes saw some of their beginnings in Maker Lab. There's a designer named Nick Diber who worked on the Next Level, which is this shoe. And he had done a lot of prototyping in the Maker Lab. So yeah, it's really a great space. I think if you asked any of the designers, they would say that it's essential for their process nowadays.
That is great.
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, it totally probably expanded their way of thinking as well as like inspiration as well. That's cool. I might have already asked you, so you are working on something up for yourself at the moment too?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, but you don't want to show it yet. That's okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's this upper. It's just there's this, and then I'm also working in the early stages, working on a collaboration with a designer on Instagram. His handle goes as Coma Conception. COMMECONCEPTION. Coma Conception. And he's great with 3D printing, and we're in the middle of collaborating on a shoe.
That's cool.
So that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about that project. We are like right in the beginning. I just reviewed mood boards with him a few days ago, so we're really early on. But
very cool.
I'm excited. That's going to be fun.
Yeah, that is fun. If you had unlimited resources and time in the world, what would you make? What shoe would you make, and for who?
I think something that I do eventually want to do is a glueless, truly sustainable shoe that's easily available for even someone with like a very low income. I want to create something that's actually environmentally friendly, actually sustainable, but doesn't look like a granola bar. No offense, I like granola bar shoes. I've got some of my own, but and then something that's accessible. A lot of times that stuff ends up being so expensive, and so that's I've been looking at lately different ways to attach a midsole that's compelling visually, but also uses natural materials and you know, is done with like some version of knots and knitting rather than
interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's
rather than glue.
A conversation that you just keep on having and doing and experimenting, so that, you know, because yeah, it's true. And in the industries, especially sneakers too, like all the materials are not that recyclable. So
yeah, they are not.
Speaking of that kind of, a little bit about material, what kind of material do you like to work with the most? What's the favorite?
That's a hard question. I like meshes a lot. Just a lot of meshes are pretty easy to stitch, and they sort of just they work well. Like they hide mistakes pretty well. So you're able to get something pretty quickly. I do love leather, but I forced myself to not use it so much because I need to learn a bit more about kind of the stretchy materials. Stretchy knits are super fun, but they definitely get on your nerves because the way that they behave is very
different.
Excuse me, very confusing sometimes.
Right.
It's a tricky problem because it really depends on the knit structure and the percentage of how much it stretches along the grain versus across the grain. And you can get some really unintentional, funky results when you thought something was going to be really dialed and it's really not.
Right.
So I like that challenge. But
cool. Somebody had asked if you have your first pair that you ever made. Still keep it or not?
I don't have those.
Okay.
I do have a pair of sneakers that I made that are here. I don't often make shoes for myself though. I'm prototyping. That's actually this mock-up that I keep showing, this brown one, is that's going to be a pair for me because I haven't made a pair for myself in so long.
Great. You deserve it, right? It's like
thank
shoemakers with no shoes. That's what they do say, but yeah. My first pair was you, I remember. I don't think I ever even finished those. I think they tore before I finished them. I think the seam ripped and it was kind of the leather that we chose had, and that it wasn't working, was it?
Yes, that's correct.
And then you also basically made a half pair.
I made a half
sneakers.
pair. A sneaker,
it came out actually from the boxes. I have it here.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah, that's probably, you could consider that my first sneaker, but it's only a lift and it didn't fit. It's too small.
Yeah, but you made the outsoles.
I did. I made the outsoles.
Shaped it and everything as like a mock-up. Yeah.
Yeah. That was a fun project. I like that one.
Where would you want to be and what you want to be doing in like 3 to 5 years?
Oh, that's such a good question. I feel like I had a better answer for this before the pandemic started. Now I'm a little confused. Yeah. But I go back and forth between staying in the brand and staying at Adidas and really being like an old school Adidas guy that's there for 25 years and trying to leave and start my own thing. I think right now everything is so in flux. But if I were to leave, I do have this dream of starting this sort of experimental version of a brand which is designed to not make any money.
What? Okay.
The idea is that the brand will essentially, and don't steal my idea, the brand will essentially it will eat itself through the making process and dissolve and then have to be reformed at the end of every product cycle.
I
So
don't think I understand it.
basically
Maybe you're way ahead of your time.
to run out of money, and then but still be able to pay employees a fair wage. And I also want it to be like a combination of a school and a company. I want it to be sort of a school that teaches people while they work on a real project and pays them to learn. And then the whole thing eats itself.
Eats itself. Okay.
Yeah.
But not the shoes aren't disintegrating or anything. I'm just trying to...
Maybe the shoes should probably disintegrate too eventually.
Oh my gosh. So it's like biodegradable...
Everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's like a very big project that...
Yeah. I got more to figure out on that, but that's my idea.
You know, when you mentioned like, 25 years, I guess 3 to 5 years is only a couple years actually ahead.
Yeah,
it's not that far ahead, just, noting that. Okay, cool. But, a dream is a dream as well. And I think you should keep your eyes open, especially with the materials. Like there's a lot of material innovation happening. And I think you're also kind of you kind of see the forefront of that firsthand because you're in a big company that does cool stuff like that. So that's cool that you do.
Yeah, I am very often on the search for those new materials. I haven't seen too much yet that looks like it's not for footwear. It's not really viable. Most of what I've seen. Right. A lot of times, we have mulberry leather from a mulberry tree. We have some mushroom leather samples, but a lot of this stuff is it's just not strong enough to even, last one walk around the park.
Wow.
And the stuff that is the way that they make it, that is they back it with something, which that bothers me a lot. Totally defeats the purpose.
Right. No, I understand.
So I'm
on a hunt.
I'm on a hunt. Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
Yeah. So if anyone knows anything.
Yeah, but it's good that someone's doing it too, in the forefront. So, for someone starting out and wanting to design sneakers for a company, like, do you have any advice?
There are a few things. One thing that was really hard for me to swallow early on is you need to be good at drawing, but drawing's not the most important thing. And if you want to be a designer, the most important thing is about the idea, and then about explaining how you think, how you got there, and better yet, if you can show that rather than say it. So the thing that I do a lot of guest teaching and a lot of portfolio reviews, and the thing that myself and my colleagues are always looking for is this person, like, are they thinking? Are they creating something new and innovative, and are they able to show how, like, what their process was? Right. Or are they just drawing pretty shoes? Which is also good, and there's a lot of places where you can just kind of draw cool shoes with nice aesthetic and be very successful. But really looking more into the true design side of things and real innovation.
It's almost like artists. Like you almost need that artist mindset. It seems like. Yeah.
It's definitely like a very sort of hard to balance mix of art and insights and research, and it's also for me it's really important that things are more on like the cutting edge in every category. So if you're making something out of a sustainable material, there should be lots of social considerations. We really don't need more shoes in the world. There's tons and tons of shoes, and we need designers that are going to be able to think how to implement sort of a new ideas on just the whole concept of sport and walking and what footwear is, and products.
Cool.
And it's a hard place to get your head to, and it's something I still struggle with.
Yeah, no, thank you. Dana D Perotti Boots from Texas is asking, are y'all experimenting with 3D printed midsoles?
Yes. That happens a lot in Portland, not as much in Brooklyn and in Germany. For whatever reason, it's just Portland has become the main place for that. We have a deal with Carbon, who many of you might recognize, the mint green lattice midsoles from Adidas. And I think their first shoe was called the Carbon 4D. And Carbon is a really incredible brand. They're based, I think, out in Redwoods in California. They do a lot of the prototyping and testing in their facility, and then we also have a setup in Portland.
That's cool.
We do some 3D printed midsoles in our space, but the usable ones that we print are done in different materials, just more on a regular FDM 3D printer.
We're looking forward. I'm really looking forward to seeing like some of your experiments kind of come to life in a couple of years. And
me too.
Sure. Can I go on to? We don't have so much time, but what would you do differently post coronavirus? What would I do differently
in life or in work?
Well, or work. Yeah. Would you? Yeah. I'm sure you're looking forward to going back to the workshop. Like kind of collaborating. It's all about collaborating with people, So it's hard.
I guess I probably get out of the office more. I think it was something we used to do. And then we got into a place where we were, in the studio all day, every day. And I think even once quarantine is over and once social distancing is less strict and we're able to have everyone in the space, I still think a schedule where people are rotating in and out and only there 2 or 3 days a week and working from somewhere else other days, I think is probably something that I would try to implement for my team a little bit more. It's a little bit harder for us because we are makers and have to physically be there, but I think it's still important.
It is something.
It is something that the teams have done in the past, but not. I think probably not enough. When things start to get busy and deadlines are coming, people are there all day, every day.
Yeah, no, I get it. Yeah. Cool. Hair challenge. You totally dyed your hair right away after the corona started. Are you going to do it again? Are you going to cut it? What's your story?
As soon as my barber opens, I'm getting a haircut. But
you don't want to do it yourself? YouTube?
No.
No?
No. I need Vivian. She has the magic hands.
How long do you think you're going to go for? I guess July? Yeah, or end of June?
End of June, July, hopefully. Yeah, I think that phase 2 includes barbershops and all standard office jobs.
Yeah. Are you going to go back to your regular color, or are you going to keep it?
I like the colors, but I don't know. I need it to be shorter first. It's starting to look like an egg, and I gotta get a cut. Yeah.
know. Soon you're gonna be like tying your hair. All
Yeah.
right, it says 10 seconds remaining, so
Okay.
it has been an hour. Thank you so much for taking your time today.
Of course, of course.
Out of
Thanks
your
for
busy
having me.
day. Yeah, good luck, and I would love to see your work in the markets.